Somewhere in a dim aquarium tank right now, an octopus is asleep. Its body has gone pale and still. And then, every 20 or 30 minutes, something strange happens. The skin starts to twitch and ripple. Colors flash across it. Dark mottled patches, sudden silver waves. The same patterns it would use if it were hunting, or hiding, or fighting. Its eyes flick under closed lids. For about a minute, the whole animal lights up like it is seeing something. Then, it goes quiet again, and nobody fully understands what just happened. The strangeness is that we share almost nothing with this creature. The last common ancestor we have was a tiny worm-like animal swimming in the Cambrian, around 600 million years ago. Whatever the octopus is doing in there, it built it on its own. And it looks, of all things, like ours. Start with what sleep actually is. For most of biology, sleep has two phases. There is a deep, quiet stage where the body is still and the brain is calm. And there is a stranger stage, named for the rapid eye movement that happens during it, REM. In humans and birds and most mammals, this is when the brain lights up almost as much as it does when you are awake. It is also, almost always, when you dream. REM is when your brain stitches the day together, when memories get sorted and filed, when your nervous system runs through scenarios it never quite acted on. For a long time, the textbook stories said REM was a vertebrate trick, a signature of our line, something that came with backbones and big brains. The octopus is none of those things. It has no spine, no centralized cortex, no hippocampus, no pretty mammalian sleep map. And yet, recently, two different teams of researchers on two different continents looked carefully at how octopuses sleep and saw the trick anyway. The first was in Brazil. In 2021, a team led by Silvia Medeiros, working in the lab of Siddhartha Ribeiro at the Federal University of Rio Grande do Norte, published in iScience. They watched octopuses sleep. They found two distinct states. A long, calm one they called quiet sleep, where the animal goes pale and barely moves. And, every 30 to 40 minutes, a short burst they called active sleep, about 40 seconds at a time. The skin explodes with color. The arms twitch. The eyes shift. If you blinked and missed the timing, you would swear the animal was awake. The researchers were careful. They did not say the octopuses were dreaming. They said the state was analogous to vertebrate REM, but the resemblance was uncanny. 2 years later, in 2023, a team at the Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology in Japan, led by the graduate student Aditi Popfale in the lab of Sam Reiter, looked closer and published in Nature. They tracked the skin patterns of Octopus lachaeus during these active episodes, and the patterns were not random. They were the same skin patterns the animal used when it was awake. Camouflage, threat, hunting, replayed silently while asleep, in roughly hourly cycles, like a film running on a screen the animal could not see. The Popfale team put a number on it. Every active episode lined up, in form and intensity, with a corresponding awake behavior the octopus had performed earlier, as if the body were rehearsing the day. We do not know what that means. The researchers were careful again. Whether an octopus has subjective experience in there, whether those replayed patterns are tied to anything we would recognize as a thought, whether the word dream even applies to a creature whose nervous system is built so differently from ours. Those are honest, open questions. But the structure of the sleep is now beyond argument. There is a quiet stage, and there is a noisy stage that looks, mechanically, like dreaming. So who is doing this? It helps to remember what an octopus actually is. In 2021, Alexandra Schnell at the University of Cambridge, together with Piero Amodio and the Clayton Lab, published a long review of cephalopod intelligence in Biological Reviews, and the picture is uncomfortable. Octopuses solve novel puzzles. They learn by watching. They can be trained on tasks that take rodents weeks to master. In captivity, they unscrew jars from the inside, drag camera lids over themselves, recognize individual human keepers, and play favorites. In the wild, some species carry coconut shells around the seabed and assemble them into a portable shelter when they need one. Octopuses, in other words, are not running on autopilot, and the architecture they do it with is alien. The neuroscientist Benjamin Hochner at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem has described it for decades. Counts going back to the British anatomist J.Z. Young in 1963 put an octopus at about 500 million neurons. That is more than a dog, and only 1/3 of them are in the central brain. The other 2/3 are distributed across the arms, which can taste, grip, decide, and react with a real autonomy of their own. A severed octopus arm can still recoil from pain. A live arm can solve a maze its central brain has not seen. An octopus is, in a sense, a thinking thing built like a small parliament, and this parliament dreams. Or, more carefully, something inside it cycles through a state that looks like the state in which we dream, which is where it gets uncomfortable. Because for sleep to look this similar in us and in them, there are only two possibilities, and both are strange. Either REM-like sleep evolved more than once, independently, on opposite branches of the animal tree, or it goes much deeper than anyone thought, all the way back to that simple worm in the Cambrian, and we and the octopus inherited a piece of the same machinery from a shared ancestor neither of us could recognize. Most researchers, including the Schnell team, lean toward the first answer, convergent evolution. The same trick, built twice, because something about it works. That is a quieter way of saying something enormous. If two animals as far apart as a human and an octopus, both somewhere in the dark, run their bodies through a REM-like state, then this pattern is not an accident of being a mammal. It is one of the few solutions that complex nervous systems keep finding when they sit alone in their bodies and rest. The same loop, the replay, the little night theater where the brain rehearses what the day was. We thought it was ours. It is, apparently, something brains do. Which leads to the question the octopus has very gently handed back to us. If the structure can exist in a creature with no cortex, no hippocampus, no human-shaped mind, if a parliament of arms can light up in the dark and replay yesterday's hunt in silence, then how alone is that experience really? On any given night, somewhere in an ocean, in a tank, in a cave under a rock, a thinking animal we barely understand is doing the closest thing we know to what you do when you close your eyes. Maybe you will never know what it sees, but you sleep at the same time, and neither of you is the only one dreaming.